Welcome to Research Renaissance, presented by the Karen Toffler Charitable Trust. Embark on a journey into the forefront of cutting-edge brain science as we feature insightful discussions with a diverse array of guests, from early career researchers pioneering groundbreaking science to influential voices in investment communities, policymaking, and research institutions. Together, we delve into neurological diseases, their causes, treatments, and the quest for cures. Join us in advancing our understanding of the brain and addressing its ailments. Welcome to Research Renaissance. I'm Deborah Westphal, your host and guide through the fascinating future of the brain. Joining me today is Dr. Doug Robinson, a cell biologist and the director of the Initiative for Careers in Science and Medicine at Johns Hopkins University. Joining Doug is Pamela Hamm, director of the Summer Academic Research Experience, or rather, the SARE program. And as a special addition to today's discussion, we also have the opportunity to speak with some of the amazing young adults that have participated in the SARE program. So let's dive in. Well, welcome, Doug and Pam. And I've been looking forward to this podcast for a month when we started talking about doing this. I'm real excited to hear about what you're doing with the SARE program. And I'm really looking forward to speaking with some of the students and some of the graduates from the program. So, Doug, can you tell me who these people are, these wonderful students, and just kind of go around the room?
Sure. Well, it's a great pleasure to be a part of this podcast with you and to be able to share the SARE program, which is the Summer Academic Research Experience program for high schoolers, which is a component of our CSM initiative. And today you're going to get to meet these amazing scholars and alums from the CSM program in general. We have Eleana, who was a CSM SIP, that's the undergraduate portion of the CSM, and then a DDP scholar. And now she's, luckily for us, a graduate student in our laboratory working on her PhD. We have Temi and Aiden, who's from Western Tech High School, and she was a SARE scholar this past summer. And we also have on the call with us here today, Aiden Hauser, who is also a SARE scholar with us this past summer, and he's at Severna Park High School. And so thank you for the opportunity to meet with our scholars and to pick their brains and learn about the amazing things they're up to.
Yeah, I've gotten an opportunity to speak with one or two of them in the past, and it's just amazing that they're still in high school or getting ready to graduate from high school. So really looking forward to hearing about their experiences here. Can you just kind of start with the SARE program? And I know Pam is the director of the CSM, I believe. And so, Doug, if you want to just kind of start with SARE or Pam, pick it up from where you want to start.
Well, maybe I'll introduce Pam. So yes, Pam is our director of our SARE program, and she also is kind of deputy director of our CSM initiative. And the SARE program is the program portion of the CSM is for high school scholars, which we now just finished year 16. And lucky for us, we have Pam as an integral central piece of that whole SARE program and the CSM initiative. And Pam, maybe you'd like to share your perspective on it.
So I am so fortunate to be part of this program and get to work with these young people every day during the summer and then talk with them out throughout the year and find out what they're doing. I also really love checking in on the scholars from the past 16 years and hearing all about where they're at in their lives. I've taught for 30 years, and these last 2 years that I've been in SARE is definitely the most rewarding that I've had.
Yeah, 16 years is a long time for this program to have been going on. Why was it started, and what do you think the key is for the longevity?
So several fronts. So the reason why we started it was my wife and I had gotten involved in an area, our residence program called Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Baltimore. And through that, we had a couple of scholars from Boys Hope, Girls Hope come down and do research with us in the first year. And what we learned in that summer was a couple things. One was the tremendous opportunity we had leveraging our academic environment here at Hopkins Medical School to be able to provide some really unprecedented opportunities for the scholars to come in and experience academia, research, biomedical research in particular, at a level that maybe they wouldn't have thought of before. And so I kind of view that as then that next summer that over the course of that next year before the next summer, my lab actually pulled together, and we would probably have lunch 5 days a week where we would spend that entire time discussing how could we create a program? What does it need to have to really work well? And over that course of that year, I call that was the year that SARE was born. Then the next year the second year, then we went to 4 scholars and 5, and gradually we crept up over the years to this past summer, we had 19. We're actually if we count ones where we partnered with a sister program during the pandemic, when everything moved online, we've had 140 scholars come through, 129 specifically for SARE, and to date, and the outcomes are tremendous. And so, it's a hard thing to give up once you've launched and seen how the thing can grow. I will say SARE and the CSM initiative in general, but SARE in particular, is a program based off of a million little data points or little details, million little details, and there's a big story behind every single one as to why it's implemented in the way that it's implemented. And then, of course, the outcomes from the program are so tremendous, and our scholars go off and do amazing things. And I can crush you on data if you're interested in learning more about that.
Yeah. And Doug, you are a researcher. You're Dr. Doug Robinson. You're researching. You're doing science. So this is a part of that. You're creating kind of the future, if you would, of those people that will come into your lab to work sometime, possibly. But you're doing it through the human side, not the lab side. Is that? Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, I think so, yes, for sure. And actually, Eleana is an example of somebody who came through the undergraduate portion and postbac portion of the CSM initiative. And we were lucky to recruit her back as a PhD student. We have a number of examples of scholars that have come through the SARE program and have gone on to advanced degree granting programs all over the country, in fact, including back here at Hopkins, but elsewhere. The other thing I think that's also critical is that we've found, you're asking, what makes it so important and what makes it so effective. And a big component of it is the mentorship and the longitudinal mentorship. We know of many, many examples where scholars reach back to their in-lab mentor or to me or to their PI if they're in a different lab and tap them and ask questions on advice on how do I apply to this or how do I do that or what do I do here in this situation. And interestingly, it's kind of a multi-pronged benefit because we see that our trainees, for example, our graduate trainees, our grad students, postdocs, and so forth, who are mentors for SARE scholars during the summer, also get a tremendous boost in their pride and sense of accomplishment that benefits them in their research, adventures. And we all know research takes a long time. Well, mentoring a student, a SARE scholar, is a way to sort of have a kind of an immediate return on your effort because you get to see kind of in real time the impact of what you're doing. We've also gotten that palpable evidence of impact from the program, just even from the in-lab mentors.
Yeah, that's great. And so to give some idea of how the program is structured, I believe it's around an 8-week timeframe. Pam, do you want to kind of talk about what that structure is?
That's right. So our SARE summer lasts for 8 weeks. The students spend about 30% of their time in class, academic classes, taking college-level science seminars on things like cells or genetics in the morning to be ready for the work that they're doing in the lab. We also offer college readiness, college application, essay writing, filling some of those writing gaps, bioethics seminars to work on their reading and writing and critical thinking skills in the morning. And we also offer math enrichment or building those strengths out that there might be gaps there that we've found over the years. Sometimes the students come to us with some needs there academically. So that's the first 2 to 3 hours of the day. And then the students spend most of the rest of the day in their individual labs with their PIs and their mentors working on individual projects that their mentors have decided to share with them. And the work that they do in the lab is absolutely groundbreaking. They get to work on the brain cancer treatments and the breast cancer explorations and all of those wonderful things. Aiden worked with Eleana this summer in Dr. Robinson's lab on pancreatic cancer. So it's extraordinary that work that they get done in 8 weeks. And I think that's one of the things that makes SARE different than other summer programs. There's lots of summer programs at Hopkins that students can come to, lots of pathways programs that are for the same students that our mission is to reach out to, those students that are historically underrepresented and socioeconomically challenged. Their families have some challenging financial situations. Those are those students that we really reach out to. But what makes our program different is that wraparound academic and science, hands-on science experience that they get, and the connection with their mentors that lasts for so long. All of the alumni that I talk to really pinpoint that 8 weeks in their lives. After 10 years, 15 years, it was during those 8 weeks that they realized they could do those hard things and sort of set off on that path.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you went through a couple of the criteria that is kind of needed to be selected to this program. Are there others? I mean, I would imagine grades have something to do with it. What's the criteria?
So maybe I'll weigh in on that part. So it's what I'm going to call it a threefer. There's three things. So the first is a two-part, socioeconomically. So the scholars in the program come from a household with income less than 200% of the federal poverty limit, which is roughly bottom quintile. And that's also based on federal definitions. And so it's also adjusted based on family size. Second, they are educationally under-resourced, which is in many ways they can meet that criterion. Typically it's first-generation college or went to a high school where the majority were also low income or some other mitigating thing that we will consider for that. And then the third criterion is that we want to see that they're inspired, motivated, and fired up. Now, there are many ways that we can detect that. One is, of course, GPA. But we also have examples of scholars who, for various reasons, for example, could be counselors, school teachers around them knew that they had the passion and the abilities, but maybe the GPA didn't reflect it. And there can be outside reasons, there can be mitigating circumstances that maybe make it hard for the student to be able to be fully focused on their education. Thus, the GPA doesn't really reflect their ability. So we've have a handful of examples perfectly meeting that aspect where they came to us with a 2.2 to 2.5 GPA. They came through our SARE program. They went back to school, and again, we track everything longitudinally. And would you believe they became a 3.5 to 3.8 or higher?
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Sometimes you just need that experience and that boost. That's wonderful.
I think after teaching for 30 years, I've seen lots of students, and I've taught in urban areas, and they go unseen and they're sort of invisible. So when they come here and they spend that 8 weeks and they feel valued and they feel listened to when someone talks to them, that motivates them to go back into school and speak up for themselves and use their voices and ask for what they really need.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I want to ask, because I had the opportunity to meet Temi before. She's got an interesting story as to how she found out about this program. Temi, you want to just kind of introduce yourself, and how did you find out about this program, and how did you end up getting selected?
So I applied around my freshman year, my sophomore year of high school, and I already knew that I wanted to do something in the medical field, and I liked the aspect of research. So I just did a little searching online, and then I came across SARE, and I really liked their mission and everything. So I applied, and I thought I wasn't going to get in because of the GPA aspect, because my GPA was not as high as I would like it to be at that time. So, but I ended up applying anyways, and I was so excited when I found out that I got in. I was jumping in the car, and yeah, that's.
And you're first generational, correct? You came over very young to the United States?
Mm-hmm. I came here 2010, so I was around 4 years old.
And where did you come from? Where did your parents move from?
We came from Nigeria.
Okay, wonderful. What did your parents think of you getting into this program?
They thought it was really cool because Johns Hopkins and like big prestigious universities, so they were pretty excited as well.
Did they fully grasp what this kind of meant for you? I would imagine they were proud, but did they really kind of understand what what this was going to mean to your journey?
So to this day, I don't think they really know what I'm doing here. They just know that I'm at Johns Hopkins doing something, and that's what they're happy about. As long as I'm here, I'm good.
That's awesome. Aiden, what about you? How did you find out about this program? And, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my journey from SARE started all the way back in California where I lived a couple years ago. Johns Hopkins was my dream school because I knew that I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up. And all around me, I just see the influence that Hopkins has around the world. And so when my dad got orders to move to Maryland, I was so excited that I finally had an opportunity to be in the proximity of Johns Hopkins and maybe even have some opportunity to go down there and see what they have to offer. And so in my summer after junior year, I was really looking forward to doing something that'll boost my college resume as well as try to see if I can get some exposure to the science world because I knew that that was my passion. And so like Temi, I went online and was researching a lot about what Johns Hopkins had to offer. Unfortunately, all the stuff that I found were way too expensive for me because living in a household of 6 people, it gets kind of expensive, especially when we have to move around every year. And on the last day of my research online, I found out about SARE and the fact that they wanted to help kids just like me who didn't have the opportunity to spend money on science opportunities. And so I really thought that that program was a match for me. And so I made sure to apply, explaining all my difficulties. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to go.
Yeah, that's great. And you, I take it that it allowed you to get ahead, even with your parents having to move around because you said you're military, right? Your family was military.
Yes, my dad's in the Navy.
Okay, he's in the Navy. So have you traveled all over the world?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Japan, on the island of Okinawa, and I moved down to Hawaii when I was 4 years old. And then I've been around the United States, mostly in Washington, Virginia, California, and Maryland.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that's tough. That's tough going and starting schools and then leaving schools and so this is, I'm sure, a great opportunity for you. And I think we've got it's Eleana. Yes. Okay. So you're Aiden's mentor, but you also went through the SARE program. How did you find out about the program? And tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I transferred to Johns Hopkins as an undergrad, and I was shadowing Dr. Silgoda. She's a neonatologist was at Hopkins, and getting to know her, she actually brought to my attention the CSM Summer Internship Program, which is the undergrad portion of CSM. So SARE's the high school, and then SIP is the undergrad. It's a 10-week paid internship where you can work at a Hopkins lab and essentially improve your skills and become a scientist. And I was missing that opportunity to do research. And so I ended up applying and ended up getting in. And I actually worked under her in her lab, studying neonates and leptin. And essentially, that's how I kind of found out. But then after I was trying to pursue medical school and PhD training, and I needed more skills. So I ended up pursuing the doctoral diversity program, which is now the post-bac program of CSM. And so I was able to join the program, and then I did 2 years there under Dr. Doug Robinson, which is here with us. And so now I'm in PhD training.
Wonderful. So how do you like mentoring?
I love mentoring because I was mentored. I think the mentors that I had were amazing and are amazing. And so I want to be able to be that for someone else. And so Aiden is one of my mentees, and I hope he also agrees that I was a good pair for him. But yeah, I love it. I love helping trainees and mentees to just be the better themselves and be the best scientists that they can be.
What is the most difficult thing that you found with mentoring?
I think it is communication, making sure that we're both under the same page and that we both agree on what we're talking about, and that the mentee is actually understanding what I'm saying and that I'm understanding what they're saying.
So did Aiden work in the lab with you then on the same kind of research, or how did that work?
Yeah, so Aiden actually worked side by side with me. I let him actually take charge of a lot of the experiments. And to me, that's one of the ways to learn best, is to actually do hands-on training. And so I actually let him take care of my pancreatic cancer cells. He did a ton of assays and experiments by himself. Of course, I did have to teach him. But after he learned, he was able to do it all independently. So I'm very proud of him.
That's great. So Aiden, what was that like to learn about the lab and some of the testing? I mean, what was your favorite part about that? And what was the big opportunity that you felt?
Yeah, so Eleana is such a great mentor. I'm just in awe at the fact that in 8 weeks, I had a whole presentation about pancreatic cancer and all the studies and experiments that we did on pancreatic cancer. I had such a good knowledge about it that I could share with the world what I researched. But my favorite part was just finding out that I was able to pursue science in a way that not a lot of other children have the opportunity to, as well as know that I am capable of doing stuff that at a graduate level.
Yeah, that's great. Temi, what about you? What was your research, and what was that focus? What was that like to work in the lab?
So I worked in the Scheich lab under Pfizer Scheich, and we basically took mice tissue sites and we stained them for marker CD11B for myeloid cells to enhance immune response. And because this was my second year at SARE, I feel that's why they let me be more independent with my project. And I totally agree with what Eleana said about like it's better to learn hands-on and things like that, because that's the part I really enjoyed most. I felt like I was accountable for the stuff that I was doing, and that made me be more aware of the things that I was learning.
And then as part of your research, then you put together a presentation and you give that to a group. Is that correct? How did that go?
It was very fun. I liked being right next to my friends with their posters and listening to how they explain their own research to the people that are coming to see it. And then I feel like it's very exciting to talk about the things that you did for the 8 weeks, that you woke up 9 a.m., you came to work, you put in the work, and it's very exciting to talk about it to people who actually seem interested about it.
So what that experience then, as you think about going to college and maybe a career, what are you thinking that you want to do, and where do you think your focus is going to be?
So I'm currently applying to college, and there's this thing called the Common App where we apply to college, and it actually essentially asked me the same question as you just did. So I put in some of the activities that I did with SARE and working in the lab, and it asked me, would you like to pursue this career when you go to college, or would you like to do something similar? And I put yes, because I really find this interesting, and it really made me love science more.
That's great. And Doug, I know that Temi's one of the recipients of our family foundation, the Karen Toffler Charitable Trust Toffler Family Foundation grants, if you would, or scholarships. How important is that to get funding from outside or support from outside to help with your program, to help with these amazing students, give them these opportunities?
Well, first off, funding is essential. As we all know, money makes the world go round and round. And so in order to do that, so think about what the use of the money goes to. So we provide our scholars with a stipend. So they don't pay us to be in the program. We pay them a stipend. That's really critical when you consider the socioeconomic background that we talked about, where we know, for example, that stipend can be anywhere from 5, and in a few instances, we know of 100% of household income. So it's absolutely essential. We provide lunches every day for our scholars. If need be, we provide bus passes, if possible, to help them get here. So there's basic costs like that has to be put into place. Of course, we need to be able to support our amazing team. For example, this is Pamela Hamm. If without Pamela, the program couldn't go around. So we have to be able to support the appropriate staff and team in order to make that all happen. And so clearly that's a critical piece. And, of course, it can be perceived that we're being at Johns Hopkins, that all the money comes from within, but that's actually not really how it works. Grants are absolutely essential. We are really, in many ways, kind of small businesses within a big enterprise, where we're constantly trying to raise the resources in order to be able to do the things that we need to do. And I think hopefully it's already becoming apparent as you're meeting and talking with our scholars, including alums of the program and so forth, that the program is having major, major impact on young people. And I do have to give you a piece of data, because we're very proud of all the data, the outcomes. But one example is, I've already told you a little bit about the socioeconomic background of our scholars. As of 2024, every year we complete a major annual comprehensive report on how SARE operates and what the longitudinal impact is. And as of fall of 2024, we now know that the college graduation rate of our scholars by 4 years post-high school graduation. By the way, our scholars have about a greater than 98% high school graduation rate. Over 94% have gone on to college. And by 4 years post-high school graduation, 74% have graduated from college.
Yeah, that's incredible, because that's not the national average for high school or college, correct?
National average for college graduation across the entire U.S., which considers every socioeconomic demographic, and they only count by 6 years post-college matriculation. So that means that any student who never goes to college doesn't count in their denominator. Nationally, the college completion rate by 6 years post-college matriculation is 65%. So 74 is already higher than 65%. But when you look at the data nationally for scholars from the same socioeconomic background, the college graduation rate by 6 years post-college matriculation is 14%. So 74 versus 14. That speaks to the fact that the socioeconomic the experiences associated can create obstacles. Like, do you always have a resource or a network that you can talk to? What other kinds of challenges come up that can then make it, burnout's a major thing. It's like, geez, I've already overcome all of this. I really have to go pass this final exam in this course that I don't really care about anyway. At some point, burnout's a real thing. It kind of piles up. And so we think having kind of that longitudinal network, that ongoing mentorship, the resources and people you can go talk to end up becoming crucial in helping young people get through all that. And guess what? They go off and do amazing things. We have alums from our SARE program that are in the tech industry as software engineers. We have plenty have gone on to grad school, medical school. They're some are in doing residency now, for example, in surgery. So imagine that, bottom quintile to a surgeon in the future, top 1 or 2%. And any of these scholars are capable of doing anything they dream of, because they're super qualified, super accomplished, and building those accomplishments. Very able, driven, motivated, and inspired and inspiring. And how can you not want any young person with those attributes to not have that chance to succeed? Because they're going to make a big difference.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's an honor for me to be able to sit in this room with these amazing people and feel like we got to be a little bit a part of their journey.
Yeah, it's got to give you a lot of joy and a lot of just satisfaction. Yeah, that's cool. Aiden, what about you? What think I saw you actually posted something on LinkedIn yesterday or the day before about a college program that you have been accepted in that now allows you to apply for colleges. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the post that I made on LinkedIn the other day was about the QuestBridge application, or that program is basically where people can apply for a full 4-year scholarship to a university that partners with QuestBridge, and then they will pay for 100% of your tuition. And so I posted that because I think that a lot of the reason why I got accepted to QuestBridge was because of what I did this summer with the SARE program, and how the SARE program really influenced me to become a better person and apply, to know that I can apply to top tier universities because I'm a good student. And I was just really proud of the fact that now large organizations like QuestBridge are recognizing my talent and ability.
Yeah, that's great. Having that kind of support and an opportunity to further your education, that's a big deal. What do you hope to go into and to study? What is it that your focus, at least the way you think about what you want to do, today?
Yeah, so my whole life, the dream was to become a doctor. And that's kind of the reason why Johns Hopkins really appealed to me, because they're known for producing a lot of well known doctors. But one of the things I learned this summer was that the field of science is not really one way. It's not just go to medical school and become a doctor. A lot of the people that I got to listen to this summer during our seminars were people like doctors who also have their PhD and like to do research as well, or doctors that do research on the side just for fun. And a lot of the people that I work with in the lab also don't want to become doctors, even though they have a passion for medicine and for science. They want to maybe become professors at universities or work for organizations that develop medicine. So now, after being exposed to all the different avenues that science can bring you to, career-wise, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do yet. All I know is that research will be a fundamental part of it. And I'm glad that the SARE program really exposed me to that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you had that exposure and that you learned that, because I think there's a lot of people that know that you can become a doctor, but I don't think there's a lot of people that know that doctors do research too and can kind of have a dual track. And we need that. We need those kind of people that bridge not only working in the clinics and being a clinician and helping patients, but also going into the lab and really kind of furthering the science. So I'm really happy that you learned that through the program. So yeah, Eleana, tell me what your long-term goals are.
Yes, so currently I'm in my PhD training, hopefully finishing up soon. And I'm pursuing medical school after, because the ultimate dream is to be a physician scientist that runs a lab, but also has a clinic and sees patients. So whatever I do in research side, I can bring that to the bedside as well.
So are you working a dissertation right now? Are you going to have to, when do you defend? Is this the pathway here?
Yeah, we're almost there. I think I have about 1.5 to 2 more years to go, because it gets a little hazy at the end because of papers and publishing. And so there's a lot of various comments that we have to look into, and that could take some time. But yeah, ultimately the goal is to matriculate into medical school in May of 2026. And then still a long road ahead, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a long road, but it's got to be satisfying too and exciting. Tell me about your family. We didn't get into that too much, but your family must be proud.
Yeah, so I was born in Cuba, so it's like an island by Florida, and we escaped when I was 5 in the year 2000, and my parents were able to bring us to Florida, and essentially we landed in Key West, and then my dad, well, we got rescued, but long story short, I went to high school in Florida, and then I went to community college there. And then I transferred to Johns Hopkins on a full ride. And then essentially, my parents didn't even know what Hopkins was or where it was. They didn't even know that such institution existed. And so at first, they didn't let me go because, being Hispanic, it's very hard to separate from your family. And so it wasn't until my dad's boss actually told them that Hopkins is a really good school, and he told them what opportunities it brings. And so then my parents were really happy and proud. They kind of do know what I do a little bit, but not so much into detail. But yeah, ultimately, I believe that they are proud of me, and they're excited to see me finish the PhD.
Yeah. Wow. That's what a story. What a story. Well, good on you. That's amazing. So Pam, I'm going to circle back to you. What are some of the challenges in running, a program like this? I mean, we talked a little bit about funding and the need for funding and the need for partners, but what are some of the other challenges?
So I think my biggest personal challenge is not having enough bandwidth or lab space for all of the people that I think should be here. So we had over 120 applications last year, and we were supposed to take a certain number, and I took a few more than I was supposed to. But there are so many amazing students out there, and I could, after talking with alumni and the professors and the mentors, I know what can happen for these kids. So that's really the hardest part is having to say no to students that I know would benefit from the opportunity. So I suppose that circles back to funding, but it also it has to do with just physical lab space that would be open for students to work in. There is nothing difficult about my job at all. I mean, every single hardship or long days or long nights of writing the curriculum or reading it and checking papers is worth it because I get to watch what they do all day. And I think the best part of my job is watching the students interact together and become, in such a short amount of time, such really close friends. And the friendship continues on and bridges these gaps, and they reach out to one another. I just spoke to a student who just graduated from the University of Maryland, and he said there were 3 other SARE scholars on his floor that he had never met before, but they were talking about being from Baltimore, and they had happened to also be in the program. I mean, there's such a small percentage of them, but and they became fast friends and really helped one another. It's wonderful to watch.
Yeah, that's amazing. Doug, 16 years ago, you started on this journey. You're here and you're in the middle of it. You're looking for partners to grow. What is the vision? I mean, where do you ultimately want to see this go and end up?
Yeah, so I think that after 16 years, we're seeing the outcomes, the impact, the opportunities and the career trajectories of all of our alums from the program. And so it makes you realize, oh my gosh, this has got to be 1, sustainable, and 2, we got to grow it. And what I mean by sustainable, obviously we've been here for 16 years. We got funding already for next year. So things are moving forward. It's coming in. But every year there's always uncertainty. And so we're trying to figure out how to get stabilized at our local site first. That's the sustainability component. So, if we could get the thing endowed, that would be a dream because then it would go on forever, and it really needs to go on indefinitely. And unfortunately, we are humans, which means I won't be here forever. So we're trying to get that resolved. But the growth portion of it is that, we see the impact that this is having. And one thing that I always take away from all of this is oh my gosh, look at these young people. They're so capable, so driven, so motivated. This has to be made possible for so many more students across the country. And so we've been trying to get the resources in place so that we can eventually seed and grow SARE and CSM type programs structured. We've really never heard of a program structured quite like SARE that's this intensive, both from an academic point of view as well as being so research intensive for high schoolers, where so many of them are becoming even published scientific authors already. And so getting that to be able to move to expand across the country. We have multiple institutions across the country who have expressed interest in creating a SARE program, a CSM SIP program, even a post-bac portion similar and modeled after ours. And they're willing to do it when the money comes. We did get to be a part of a U50, what's called a U54 grant. This is an NIH-funded grant where we are now helping. This is the first time where it's going to move beyond SARE will move beyond the walls of Hopkins, where we're going to help create a SARE program at Hopkins Sibley in DC, but also Howard University in DC. And Pam has been greatly taking the SARE curriculum and getting it organized and structured so that it becomes bucketed, and we can take the bucket and go, here it is, and then help them, be able to launch it. And so we're in the process now of having really weekly, bi-weekly meetings with them as we go through the setup process. So hopefully there will be SARE. It's going to be called School to Lab, launched at Howard University in summer of 2025. And then a SARE program launched out of Hopkins Sibley, which is located in DC. So that'll be the first of moving the program beyond the walls of Hopkins. But as I already mentioned, with the potential of moving it even more broadly once the resources become available.
And it's kind of mind-boggling a little bit here because there's so much emphasis on STEM, right? Science and technology, engineering. And, but why is an endowment hard to get for this? Because obviously you're doing it, you're bridging it. And, these students and these young adults are going and, going off to do amazing things. Why is this, where's the conflict here? You're doing STEM. Why is this hard?
I think it comes down to connections. It's knowing the right person who's inspired to do it at the right, and meeting them and coming in contact with them at the right time. And of course, what I've always said is that, or what I've observed somewhat, is that the enthusiasm for supporting programs often is correlated with what the perception is of that's happening in the stock market, for example, or in the economy. And even though the stock market right now is as high as it's ever been, and as you would expect with any exponential growth, there's also a perception that the economy is not doing well. And I think all these kind of things factor in together. And then somehow, also there can be a perception that, well, if you're at an institution like Hopkins, they already got all the money, so you don't have to contribute more money. But that's actually not the way the system works. We are for the greater good effort, where investment, whether it comes from grant dollars or whether it comes from philanthropists or foundations, are all about doing something for the greater good, where the impact will be seen and felt down the road as these young people go off and do their amazing things and accomplish all that they're going to in their lives and careers. And so just, finding the right people who are in the right connections with the folks who are inspired by that and recognize that, I think, is key. So as I always say, I'm open to connections.
Yeah, I really hope there's people listening to this and they get inspired to pick up the phone and contact you guys, because this is amazing. And I know the Karen Toffler Charitable Trust is given for a couple of years, and it's a big highlight for us to be able to do that. And so it's just really amazing. So I want to just kind of go around and just ask, since these students are the future, right? They're the ones that are going to pick up the baton and be the leaders in the next 20, 30, 40 years. What is it that you're hoping for? What is it, when you think about the future beyond yourself, what do you hope for that future? And I want to start with Aiden.
Yeah, so what I'm really looking forward to is just, seeing that mentors like Dr. Robinson and Eleana and Miss Hamm, I like to see that those mentors are, encouraging young mentees to grow and blossom and reach their full potential. And I'm just hoping that in the future, there are more people like them that are willing to invest in young people, because I think that we all have a lot of potential, maybe not just in the STEM field, but in all aspects of our lives. And I'm glad to see that people are out there that are willing to look past external circumstances, like, having a low income or having educational challenges, and just, seeing them as a person and realizing that they have worth and value, and trying to extract that from them and use it to better the world.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Temi, what about you?
I 100% agree with Aiden. Like Ms. Hamm said, there are many students who go unseen and unnoticed. So I just wish that in the future that they have more opportunities like SARE, and not just necessarily in Baltimore, but all over the United States, maybe even national.
That's wonderful. Eleana, what about you?
Well, I'm hoping to see that, people like me and like us here in the room start becoming the leaders of today, and CEOs and doctors, scientists, so that we all feel like we belong.
That's great. So, Pam, what you said you were a teacher for 30 years, and now you're running this program. What is your hope for the future?
So, I think like everyone in the world today, I hope for a more equitable health landscape in the world, right? I think that that's built by investing in our time and our values and our thoughts in the young people of that are interested in becoming, like Eleana said, the CEOs and the doctors and those people that can make a difference as they grow older. So I think starting early and allowing kids to understand their worth is really important. I hope that grows into something better for the future.
And Doug, I mean, I can't imagine how much effort this has been to even kind of organize and to think about, starting a program and being there, that constant mentorship, a lot of energy, a lot of time. What is your hope for the future? Because obviously you're pouring a lot of just yourself into that future.
I hope that all of these amazing young people can realize their dreams. They are all determined to make the world a better place. And we are in a world that needs to be a better place. It needs to be inclusive. It needs to be accepting. It needs to be sensible, analytical, data-driven, and compassionate for all. And no one is going to be more likely to lead that and make that change happen than these young people. And I do hope that will be our future. And, getting this program sustainable, grow it so we can get that reach is going to be invaluable, for society in general. And that may seem highly optimistic and idealistic, but hey, that's what we're about.
Yeah, you got to be optimistic, and you've got to have that passion to change. So I appreciate everybody's thoughts here as we just kind of wrap up. And I'm going to just kind of point to Doug and Pam here. Are there things that you wished I would have asked that I missed? Because this is an amazing message, and I want to make sure that we've covered everything that you wanted to say.
I think I'm so passionate about what I see in the students and the mentors and the PIs that open their labs up to these kids to do research. I'm so amazed by it all and passionate about it all. And when I talk to people agree. I just want to make sure that it's heard, right? So I really appreciate this opportunity to bring the story to the public so that they hear the story as well.
And I just would reemphasize, there's amazing potential in these young people, and we just got to make sure they get the opportunities to realize that.
I think they've actually, I've had students actually say to me, I never realized I could do something before. And that hurts my heart, because I think every single kid should be able to know that about themselves.
We've had students say to us, I am who I am today because of SARE or because of the CSM. I saw one of our scholars from our postbac program, who's now a medical student, recently. And she said to me, she says, because you believed in me, I realized I could believe in me.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, it really is, as you said, it's kind of sad, and it, kind of breaks your heart. But on the other side, this is amazing. It's a happy ending and a happy story. So, I just really appreciate the time that you guys put together here and spent with me, and because I know it was a lot of effort to pull everybody in the room, and so I mean, I'm walking away from this just really energized. Doug, how do people get a hold of you if they want to partner? If there's somebody out there that would love to create an endowment, how do people get a hold of you?
So there's a couple things. So we have a master website for the whole CSM initiative. From there, they can drill. It's the Johns Hopkins Initiative for Careers in Science and Medicine. And that website will come up if one were to search for it. In there, you can drill immediately into any of the 5 subprograms, SARE being one of them. And so we also have a website for each subprogram. For all of them, if you go, there's a point of contact. And in there, it'll list my contact information as well as our person who's a part of the development team, Hopkins development team, with whom I work on the fundraising side. And so they could reach out to either of us. So that would be Kevin McGuire or myself. Email usually works better. Phone calls don't work as readily because we rarely get messages anymore. And and then from there we can have the conversation. It is nice that they know somebody who knows us, because it's sometimes a contact, having a connection or a link just helps a little bit as well. But it's all good.
That's great. Do you want to share your email?
Sure. So it's DNR, as in Douglas and Robinson, or do not resuscitate. So DNR at jhmi.edu.
Great. Well, we'll post this in the podcast too, so that there's people out there that are listening have the opportunity to reach out.
And applications for the 2025 summer for SARE, CSM SIP, and DDP will go live on November 1st. So you can find that right on the website.
That's great. And then how long does that take? If it's November 1st, how long is that open?
Applications are open till February 1st.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate all the time that you guys have spent. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to speak with Eleana, Aiden, Temi, Doug and Pam. You're doing a great job. And so thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Deborah. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
Thank you for joining Research Renaissance. For more information and to stay updated, subscribe for more episodes and visit our website at tofflertrust.org. Feel free to call us if you have any thoughts, suggestions, or just want to find out more about the Karen Toffler Charitable Trust. Until we meet again, onward and upward.